Bonjour. But this is a bumper week this week. I love it. Love weeks like this. Paul, Comics of Fantasy in Hornchurch, literally had to use his entire shelving display cabinet from top to the very bottom shelf to just get this week's comics out. So it's a top. And not all of these, just before I start, not all of these are strictly this week. Some are restocks that I've missed. Some, one of them I only noticed today. But as we go along, let's get into it. This is a nutty little read. I think this might be a week or two old. I was very impressed with that. Very impressed. We are going to have a look at that. That was a lot of fun. That book. And another little, I say little indie. They're not really indies anymore, are they? Image and Boom and all that. But anyway, that was enjoyable. I've called it standard, but nevertheless, it's issue 1. It's a setup. So there's two issue 1s there. Another setup, and I'm going to have a go at this because I've been picking up Amazing Spider-Man. I'm going to have a go at this. This looked good with Adam Kubert on the art, and it carries on. So that's issue 1, like kind of like week. This is week 1, and it carries on in that. And I've been picking up Venom as well. That's the second part of the story. I don't often do that. Normally, a geekyOlhog like me, it just annoys me to death when they just link it all in and a couple of X-Men in there as well, and you're thinking, oh God. But gotta admit, the first 2, it's just about on the edge of MCU quiptastic. Like, it's just really, really on the edge. I think it's only the artists on that. Ed McGuinness on Amazing, and Adam Kubert on the Dark Web issue 1, that is saving it from me rolling my eyes and not bothering. I will admit that. It doesn't make them bad books, it just makes it not, they won't be in the hierarchy of my top Spidey books of all time because of that kind of light-hearted feel. And don't get me wrong, I do get Peter Parker's shtick, by the way. But anyway, we'll have a look and let's see if we can find out. This, any other week, would have been book of the week, only because, McFarlane, Greg Capullo. What can you say about those two on both those names? I mean, not McFarlane so much on Batman, but Capullo certainly with the Court of Owls stuff and all that. So Capullo, as the artist, knows both of them. And McFarlane inking, so McFarlane writing, Greg Capullo drawing, and then McFarlane inking. Nice. You can tell they had some fun with that book. You can tell that. This one come out of nowhere for me. This one come out of nowhere from Boom Studios. This is my book of the week. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Science fiction, time travel tale. Artwork, as you can expect from Lee Bermejo. Last time I'd seen any of his work, I'll be honest, was the Joker graphic novel that he did with Brian Azzarello, and God knows how many years ago that was. But, apart from covers and blah, blah, that's fantastic. Can't wait to get into that. And I know this one's late, but as I was picking up that big book, this was in the same area. And so I know this is months old, but this is also fantastic. I missed it. Sorry, guys. I missed it first time round. So I'll leave that one to last, because if you have seen it and it is old hat for you, then you can just stop the video there if you want on those lot. But before we do a deep dive, just look at this lot. And this, the reason I'm not going through the deep dive is because obviously Fantastic Four issue 1 of this run I went through. But Marvel heavy this week, Marvel heavy. But they are getting their head around, like DC with their back books. I'm glad that Marvel are getting their head around how to handle these non-Spider-Man and X-Men characters. Let's put it that way. That's a great read. What are we on? Is issue 6 now of this run. The Red is it the Red Fist Saga? Red Fist Saga. Chip Zdarsky doing a great job of that, and tying it into the Punisher as well. You know, and it needs two characters. We all know they're inextricably linked. I like that cover. I like that. And that still remains a good book. I know, and I'll keep going on about the naysayers of that book. Don't be put off by the fact that he's not, you know, he's not the gun-toting that you knew. They're going somewhere with that. They're going somewhere with that. But in the meanwhile, the spiritual thing of him with the... not the hand, it's the other one now, the fist and all that. Oh, I don't know, all the fists and hands and all that. Oh, we don't go there. Let's get back on track. Planet Hulk, issue 2. Greg Pak, obviously doing a decent job. Now some of these I haven't read because this is dense. Like it was either carry on reading all night or get the video out on time. So some of these I haven't. Wildcats I haven't read yet, but issue 1 impressed, so I've picked up issue 2 of that. That's out this week. That's but because I've gone through 1 or 2 of them, that's really like getting right into the story properly now. Issue 4, nice. No review of mine is ever complete without a nod to Liam Sharp and this wonderful book. I'm not going to do it. It's such a busy week. If it wasn't, I would have kept up my tradition of doing the deep dive into this book like I've done for every issue. I don't do that much for every issue. Oh, superb. Absolutely superb. Issue 2 of this, I picked up issue 1. That's maintaining its intrigue. I'm very intrigued to find out where this goes. Where it's going, and in the meanwhile really enjoying it. Love beautiful artwork on that as well. And whenever I can, I do like to round off my reviews of the week by saying I've got wind. Okay, all right, I'm old, the dad jokes, all right, go kill me, go shoot me. I've got wind. Alright, I just like saying it. Join me after the scroll for the deep dive. Okay gang, here we go. Deep dive. Issue 1 of Plush. It was definitely 100% this cover that drew me to it. So the cover did its job. And Doug Wagner on the writing, Daniel Hillard artist, Rico Renzi, nice job on the covers. They do exactly enough to tell the story of what they want to do, and I was so intrigued to find out what was going on. And this isn't a superhero book, so this artwork just complements this story perfectly, and it's just the character driven. We kind of don't know a lot yet. We don't know a lot yet, but it's opened up with 2 friends going to a kind of fancy dress party, but it's something they've done before. This little bell's jingling. He has to come outside and be sick because someone's put something in his drink, and oh my god, it's all kicking off. Wow, it's all kicking off, and then the horror comes in. Happy gloom. I just love the impact of this double-page spread, and there's some of them are still in their costumes, which obviously gives it that. Yes, it gives it that surreal atmosphere, and then it's all linked. You know, he's got a link. The main character's got a link to the police and the police chief. Yeah, and things are not all they seem. Like I say, character-driven piece. It's not dripping with blood and gore all the way through. You know, he gets thrown in the cell, and you know, this turns up outside. End of first issue. Obviously, it's not my job to sell this book, other than to tell you it's really good fun. It really did romp along, and it's like when you watch a film and it goes too quick and you realise you've been sat there for hour and a half or 2 hours. That comic just flew past, and I realised I've turned the page and it's the end. and it's like left on a nice cliff edge. Obviously, Mark Millar doesn't need any introduction. I just like to look at this book from the first time I saw it in previews. So this is exactly what you expect on the tin from a modern vampire flick. Listen to me. Vampire story, to be fair. Now, I can't believe for 1 minute Mark Millar, he's introduced us to these three friends. Kid has an accident, and it all ensues from there. And like me, I don't want to give too much of the story away. It is really nice art job by Joanne Ramirez. Juanan, have you pronounced it? God, I do. Anyway, apologies, I've pronounced it wrong. Does a lovely job of it, I've got to say. This is just. Is it a bit too long for kind of like a prologue? Because that's all it is really, and nothing. Can't say it's left on a cliffhanger, but it is nicely done. It's a nicely done little intro. I mean, that's why I'm doing a deep dive in it, to show you that all the vampire trickery and tomfoolery. But it's a nice book. It's a nice book. It's a good intro, and yeah, I will be picking up issue 2, but I think Mark Millar's got something more up his sleeve than what he's just given us there, because it's not anything we haven't seen before, and that is unlike Mark Millar, so I'm trusting him on that one. Now, like I said in the intro, don't normally go for these multi-denominational crossover event across the whole spider web verse, MCU, Spidey U, multiverse tasking, but Adam Kubert is inking his own pencils on this, or whatever way round he's doing his artwork, and it was glorious to see. I've been a big fan of Adam Kubert's artwork for many years, and look at this. This is beautiful, with the colorist as well. Forgive me because I haven't. Anyway, we'll get to the Frank Martin. Lovely job on the colouring. Lovely job on the colouring. Like I said in the intro, Marvel were doing a good job of some of their non-X-Men characters, but they're doing a good job of Spider-Man as well. I did say non-Spider-Man and X-Men. They really are paying a lot of detailed attention to it, and it is paying off. But this Amazing Spider-Man has been a good book, and this is a really nicely done. Like, I haven't read, apart from Amazing Spider-Man, I've read none of the books that they're going to be doing. This was just a quick interruption. This is a nice little poster in all the Marvel books this week. Really did think that was a nice touch. So well done, Marvel, for, you know. You could remember a lot more creators in that way, to be fair, but Stan was he was the man, weren't he? So that is it. That's enough. Enough said. You know, apart from the debates with artists and all that, working with him, but it was him first. You know, he was the first. So that's that. You know how much I love my artwork, but all the artists came after him. They worked with him, alongside him, or even created the character maybe, but he was there first, if you know what I mean, so we can't ignore it. Anyway, back to our baddies and this comic. Now, I haven't read any of, you know, I don't read any of the X-Men books. I'm reading Venom, Amazing Spider-Man, and that's about it. That's it for the Spider books. But this done, and I'm new. I'm like a new reader to this modern stuff, and this book did a very good job of setting up this the next 10 years of this crossover event. You can tell I'm a bit cynical about it. Yeah, and I am. But it was done, like I say, done well. Done very, very well. Here's the X-Men turn up. Christmas time in New York. It was nicely set up, and I get Amazing Spider-Man, so I've bought this to see what it was like, and it's Adam Cuban's artwork as well. I'm not going to turn that down. This was all nicely done, and with Zeb Wells, you know, I'm enjoying his stuff. I really am enjoying his stuff, but I've just got, look at that, and look at the list. Look, that is just the issues. So you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. You've got 9 comics to buy just in 1 month. You know, more than 2 a week. 2, 4, 6, 7. You know, so you've got to buy 2 comics a week to keep up with this story. This is where, for me, it makes me sick. Never liked it. But anyway, but I don't want to put you off of comics. I want to get you onto comic, and this is a good jumping on point. You haven't got to have read 1,000 issues before this, and if you do want to buy 2 Spider-Man books and enjoy yourself, if you love the setup of this story, then by all means, don't let me put you off. I mean, a lot of people like all these crossover events, and 2 issues in, so am I. I don't know what the next issue along, because obviously I'm getting Amazing Spider-Man. The next issue along, Dark Web X-Men. Maybe I'll get it. I'll take a look at it. So, you know, the salespeople are getting me. They are hooking me in. But let's see. This really does riff off the Venom of old, which I really did enjoy as well. I really did enjoy it. Venom is back, the old-fashioned Venom, how it all started. So I was Ed Wells giving us a little bit of Ed McGuinness on the artwork, loving it. Cliff Rathburn is rounding off his artwork, doing a nice job. I'm not saying Ed McGuinness, I've always loved Ed McGuinness's artwork, but he's doing a really nice job of kind of, the only way I can describe it is rounding it off. Sometimes McGuinness could be very angular, and it suits Spider-Man better, I think, with that guy doing the inks. That's really nice art. It's really nice art. I've enjoyed both of these books. Sorry if I had a little whinge about multi-events, but I've enjoyed, because old Venom's back. Eddie, no. So yeah, you can see why I've enjoyed this. You can see why. But like I said earlier, don't know about Ms. Marvel, but I'll give it a chance. But like I said earlier, it's a bit quip-tastic. It's a bit light. That's the only, you know, as much as Venom's here, it is a bit light on the intensity. I can't say that, like, wow, it's ramped it up to serious levels. Do we want that from a Spider book? Maybe not. But like I say, I'm on board. So far. I'm just kind of going through a couple of the pros and cons. Not enough to make me drop the book, because I've been getting Amazing Spider-Man for quite a good few months now. This is nice. Reminds me of the Ed McGuinness of old, all this. So that is your Dark Web, like 2, as in, you know, chapter 2, so to speak. Now this, I've got to admit, I've been waiting for this excitedly, because of Capullo, you know, and McFarlane's made Spawn his own for the past 20 years, 25, 30 years, and you know, he done a long run with McFarlane on Spawn, and then that run that Capullo did on Batman with Scott Snyder, was super. And this doesn't let me down. This does. Look at that. And there's plenty of double page spreads in this. The story, you know, McFarlane isn't the best writer, but I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's not the best writer, but he knows how to handle these books. Without a doubt. And he doesn't waste any time. That's what I like about it. He doesn't waste, he's economical, is McFarlane. I suppose it's his years and years as an illustrator, and he gets on with it. And him and Capullo have worked together so much that they must be able to read each other's minds. Look who turns up, which is not nice. And it's nice how he weaved it into both their stories, Batman and Spawn, and their tragedies, and how he mirrors them. He mirrors Batman and Spawn was very nicely done. Not another double page, you know. But this is what we buy these books for. Look at that. Really did enjoy that, you know. Beat each other up, but then realise they have to work together. Like I say, nothing groundbreaking, but do we want to see a team up book like this and have the groundbreaking stuff in it? No, we don't really. We want a good romp of a story, which it is, you know. Little bit of intrigue in there, but mostly it's action. Mostly it's action, and you don't have to have bought. And again, this is the good thing that good editors do. With these one shot, you don't have to have bought 1,000 comics of Batman or Spawn, either one of those characters. So you can be a Spawn fan, and you're not really into the Batman books. You might have watched the films, but you know, get the Spawn comic. But I think everyone knows the Batman story, but you might not have known the Court of Owls. But they weave it in. They weave it in. So by the time they turn up, you're not thinking, oh well, I don't read Batman, so you know, it's nicely done, nicely put together book. Obviously, just well accomplished art. You know, just top notch artwork from Capullo and inked by McFarlane. Here we go. That's what we want, and you can tell that's what they want to draw as well. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Loved it. I loved it, and like I say, this would have been. I won't show the last page. It leaves a little bit of intrigue, but you get the idea of what was done, and very well done indeed. Very well done. That, and because that would have been number one this week if this beauty hadn't come out. What a fantastic comic. An absolutely fantastic comic. Took me by surprise, to be fair. Obviously picked it up for Bermejo's artwork. I hadn't heard, forgive me if he's written tons of millions of stuff that I've never heard of, but I hadn't heard the name, but this one I did, that one I didn't. So now he's well on my radar. And I just thought this was stunning, and forgive me if I don't want to bend. Obviously I want to show off as much of this art as I can. Love to know the process he goes through to get this kind of photographic but not photographic style. I'd love to see behind the scenes of this stuff. Obviously set in the early years of, you know, segregation in America, you know, in the 50s, I suppose this is set, maybe early 60s. Tells his son not to go down in the attic. And you're thinking, what the hell? That's nice, loved it. So, and it's dark and moody, gives you the mood of the era, but all nicely done, not over the top. It's not all preachy and oh my god, you know, it's how it was. It you know, just like almost like a historical piece, and you're just wondering. But already, like after 5 or 6 pages, you know, he's wandered into this bar, and you know, a little secret gets let out, and now I'm intrigued. I'm thinking, this isn't what it's, you know, just enough. Loving it. Comes back home from the pub. It's all kicked off. And I'm thinking, oh my god, the bloke he's got, oh wow. But this is not all what it seems. It's not all what it seems. And I'm not going to tell you everything of the story, but you know, because you could flick through this and realise this in the comic, you know, his kid's in hospital, and then crack, and then bang, look at that. Now that blew my socks off, to be fair. The change in it, when it goes crack and it goes bosh, and here we go. Citizen present. We know exactly what we look at. How beautifully done this is. You know, the light on the copper and the rain. You know, straight into a dystopian future. Bang, done. And the angles, such a cinematic way he's done this. I could just literally see this as a movie. Literally, I don't often say that. Look at I don't often say that, because you could say that with every comic. I could see that as a film, I could see that as a film, and it gets a bit boring. But definitely 100%, the atmosphere that the writer, and particularly Bermejo, sets up in this book, this issue 1, I tell you what, it blew my socks off. I cannot wait. And it's all the sci-fi tropes we come to know and love, don't get me wrong, but now we know halfway through this book, bang, we're in this time. And it did give you a few hints, but bang, we're into a time travel story. But with a, you know, kind of like with a violent horror twist. I just really, really enjoyed it. And how he's used this style. So we've got this futuristic style. Look at that. I've only just noticed this, leafing through it for you lot. I've only just noticed that they've put these, and they reckon that is the best system for legs to work, don't they? Like to just have one knee. They reckon that robot legs, that's how it's going to be, not a typical knee the other way. Anyway, comment if I've got that wrong. But now it mixes into the 2 time zones. I love the way he's mixed his 2 styles. You can see how they've thought about it. And this large format book absolutely enhances it 100%. I love it. Just being that bit bigger. So I suppose a standard comic's going to come to there. But just being that, you know, that slice bigger. What's that, 1.5 inches? Or an inch. Love this stuff. Just love it, isn't it? And you know, I'm tempted to say nothing new, like nothing groundbreaking here. You know, a villain he's got to chase. Maybe we've seen that in film stuff before, but how this is put together, this is fresh as a daisy. I loved it. I just loved turning every page of this comic book. I can't recommend this enough. This one, it's been the best comic book for a long while. Love it. Literally like the first scene of an action film before the credits roll, or the credits would roll. You know, the credits would roll when, you know, after that intro, and it goes crack, and then bang, you're into it, and then after the credits should be on his eye. Love it, absolutely love it. Look at this. It's pure sci-fi. Pure sci-fi. Time travel makes a lot of people's eyes roll, I know, and that's without even getting in the time machine. But don't be put off by it, because it warrants a second read, to be fair. It's one of them books that, it's that artwork that you'll leaf through again and again, a bit like with a Joker book, to be fair. You don't just read it and bag it and shelve it, dear. You will go through this again and again. And then they're into these different time zones, and he's done a different style again for the Civil War. Oh, it's just great how they've thought about it, and then cutting it up. So I'll only show one more page. I don't want to show the last few pages because it's obviously a little cliffhanger for the second episode. I want you to enjoy this. So he's even done different styles for the different time zones. Look, he's gone back to, I don't know what you would call that, you know, like the founding fathers era kind of thing. And how he changes, yeah, that look, and they've gone back to ancient times. And these panels, so you've got him in that time zone, but it's flying, look, stop. It's going so quickly that they're freeze framing into the next time zone. I just loved it. And this, let me just draw your attention to this, and it's obviously someone taking photos, nudes of this has got to be a little nod and a wink to Dave Stevens and Betty Page. Let me know what you think, because I think 100% that there is done in a Dave Stevens style, and it's obviously dark hair, ruby red lips, being photographed in the 1920s, because you can tell by the camera. And there's just something about what he's done here, that style, that said Dave Stevens to me. But loved it. Loved it anyway. I will leave it at that. And another thing I loved about this book, right from the get-go, and you know it's been a little... this is how you do it, as the song goes. Because I picked this up, I flipped through it, and rather than... I don't want to know beginning, middle, end, but look, that just explained enough. Just explained enough. And more books should be doing that. Obviously, a Batman Spawn, you know, that don't have to do it, and your Amazing Spider-Mans and that. But particularly, you know, Plush could have done with it. You know, I know it's a nice kind of, what's it, but, or do they want to leave it as a surprise? I don't know. I love Image and their black covers, by the way, it leaves all the fingerprints, but, you know, CGC isn't in my vocabulary, so I'll just read them and bag them. And last but not least, I've left, like I say, I've left this to last because it isn't new, but I've only picked this up this week, and I just wanted to share. I mean, what a lovely job they've done on the cover with the matte stock and then the gloss. I don't know if my camera's picking that up, but that gloss stock, and Swamp Thing's been a favourite of mine for many years. I picked it up. Jeff Lemire, who's writing another couple of Image books I've been picking up. I think he is the writer on the one this week, isn't he? The 1,000 Black Feathers. Let me just check that. I think it is. Yeah, 10,000 Black Feathers. He's the writer on that, amongst many other things, obviously. But I've been really enjoying that recently, so I picked this up. But this was only a restock that had been, and you know, this has been out for some months. And apparently, I'm lucky in a way, because issues 2 and 3 don't come out to next year, because I think the writer or it's the artist had like personal reasons to be taking time off. So it's been heavily delayed, issues 2 and 3. So let's go through a beautiful colouring job by David Barron. Beautiful colouring job. Sets the tone on this story, I thought, beautifully. And it's a post-apocalyptic setting, but on a very personal level, this father and daughter, which again, I like that trope. I just do. And you think this is going to be the typical trope, and it's not. That's his brother-in-law, even though he's one of the bad guys. And that's gonna resonate by the end of this story. So it's all the family stuff and the Parliament of Nature, whatever it's called, as a meeting underground to discuss what the humans have done with the world. You know, the bad guy. You know, this guy on our main character's side decides to attack, and you know, take them by surprise. They haven't got as many guns, but they're going to take them by surprise. First one that goes in, sploosh, and he becomes the warrior for the Parliament of Trees, or whatever you call the Parliament of Nature. And the horror ensues, and it's done. Obviously, Doug Mank doesn't need any introduction. You know, worked for DC for many years, doing tons and tons of stuff. This is he's done something to his style that suits this perfectly. It's a bit more not rugged. It's a bit looser. It's a bit more of a looser style, like than he would than he would normally do to get this horror across, and I love it. And leave a bit more up to the colourist, maybe, because the colouring is really moody in this. That I've got to say, is as moody as anything you're going to see, and the pure horror in this. You know, you think the heroes are the heroes, and they might survive, but no, straight away she turns up after shooting him in the head and gets it. So she's gone, and it always adds to the. So a big bad Swamp Thing's been set up, but it's not big bad Swamp Thing. Who's going to go? How are we going to get Swamp Thing to appear in our post-apocalyptic world? Luckily enough, in the lighthouse down the beach is old Constantine. And yeah, brings him back, and he ain't happy. He's not happy. This would have probably been my book of the week if I'd have bought it when it first come out. But I thought I'd recommend it. I'd recommend it because if, like me, you haven't seen it, I do think I'm right in saying that DC and this Black Label, they're going to keep in print, or certainly they're designed for you know, graphic novel collections. So if you didn't want to go out and buy book 1 and still wait months for book 2 and 3, and you want to wait a year for the whole lot, then do that. But I thought that's why I've recommended that. But I will leave it. I'll tell you what, in all fairness, I'll leave it on my best book for a long, long while, but certainly this week. And I'll put old Spawny Boy there as well, old Batman and Spawn. And they are two fantastic, not the cheapest books, but a lot of the others are. They're a lot cheaper. Not the cheapest books, but well worth the money if you love your comics. And I will leave it there, and I'll bid you adios.